A delicacy in most college dorms. Today, today he's going to speak about something miraculous that happened during a meal. He's doing project number 3 from the basic manual, Get to the Point, and his objectives are to select a topic and determine its general and specific purposes, to organize his speech in a manner that best achieves these purposes, to ensure the beginning, body, and conclusion reinforce the purposes, and to project sincerity and conviction and control any nervousness, and strive not to use notes. That is a lot to do for a third speech, I'll tell you. Now, Michael will tell you about this miracle meal. Michael Wadler, the miracle meal.
Miracles of the technological kind. The true miracles, many people believe, ceased way back during biblical times. But I'm here to convince you otherwise because I saw one occur with my very own eyes. Madam Toastmistress, fellow Toasticles, and guests. When I was a child, our family celebrated the Jewish holiday Passover with a traditional gathering called a Seder. My grandfather, Zayda in Yiddish, would officiate, reminding us of what it means to be a Jew. This was necessary during the 3,500 years before Fiddler on the Roof. We sat around the dinner table and read from the Haggadah, the book that chronicles our exodus from Egypt, 40 years of wandering in the desert, and arrival in the promised land. Back then that meant Canaan. Nowadays, it's Shloimeh Oaks. The Passover story is one filled with biblical miracles, the 10 plagues, the parting of the Red Sea, manna from heaven, all done by God himself, with a little help from Cecil B. DeMille. Zayda would hold a glass of wine in one hand and the Haggadah in the other. But when he turned the page, it was a juggling act, and he would occasionally spill some of the liquid on the book. Over the years, we started to notice that the ceremony got shorter and shorter. Eventually, we realized the wine had eaten away the binding, causing pages to fall out. By the last Seder, the Jewish people went directly from Egypt to Canaan with no desert in between. My grandfather was Orthodox, meaning he never tasted pork, shrimp, or lobster. In other words, he missed out on some of the great joys of life. If we were really God's chosen people, you'd think one of the perks would be better cuisine. Zayda would make his own wine every year, and I'm here to tell you that Manischewitz took a second place to his product. I speak from experience because this was the one day of the year when we kids were permitted to imbibe alcohol, and we made the most of it. My grandmother, Baba in Yiddish, would boil up a chicken and serve the fatty liquid as soup with matzah balls. This is one reason why, while other cultures were struggling to achieve civilization, my people already had arteriosclerosis. You might have heard that Jews secretly run the world. This, I am sad to report, is true. The week it was Bubba's turn, she let me watch. Like, hey, you think you have problems running a small business? But I digress. Part of the holiday involves eating matzah, or unleavened bread. If you're unfamiliar with this treat, it looks just like hem-stitched cardboard. And it tastes just like hem-stitched cardboard. prize for the person who found it. Every year it was the same. No one found it. We were too tipsy to even remember what the game was, or to care about winning some cheap little trinket. Our idea of the perfect game was crawling under the table and giggling. Years later, I commemorated this holiday in song. Seder time, and the chicken is greasy. Fish are lumpy, and the children are high. Oh, the kugel's rich, 'cause Aunt Zlata is cooking, with milk of magnesia standing by. Now for the miracle. By tradition, we would leave a glass of Passover wine by the door for Elijah the prophet. Yes, that Elijah, the one from the Bible.
Oh my God.
We children thought it was pure fantasy, but if it made the grown-ups feel better, what was the harm? Legend has it that Elijah visits the circumcision ceremony of every Jewish boy to guarantee that the Jewish people are scrupulous regarding this procedure. Thus, Elijah comes to the Seder to testify that all males present are indeed circumcised. This is one place where being a New Testament figure is much preferable. The herald angels get to sing of glory to the newborn king, while poor Elijah is condemned to an eternity of pecker patrol. Wouldn't it be easier to get a tattoo stating prepared under strict rabbinical supervision? I digress again. I was talking about Elijah the prophet. Which reminds me, there was this old bearded man who would stop at our house to pick up the little metal boxes we would fill with spare change to be donated to charity. We referred to him as Elijah the non-prophet. And my third and last digression, I promise. Anyway, the tradition is, at the end of the Passover meal, the door would be opened so that Elijah could enter, if he so wished, to partake of the wine. We were about to do just that when suddenly, and this really happened, the door flew open by itself. A cold wind blew across the room, and the goblet shattered. Crash! That was the miracle. There was a long, stunned silence during which everyone processed this in his or her own way. We children immediately sobered up. My cousin Herschel hasn't had another drink to this very day. Then, as it has done for centuries, the Jewish comedy gene kicked in. Jeez, what a sloppy drunk. Elijah must